From Gadhwal, Uttarakhand, when Nanda married Shiva, she did what every Gadhwali daughter does. She moved to her husband's in the higher reaches of the Gadhwal Himalayas. In the kingdom of Gadhwal, the people have always worshipped, above any other deity, the goddess Nanda. They believe she was born, in some sense, in their own hills. She is, in their telling, the daughter of the Himalayan mountains themselves. She is the daughter of the king of the Gadhwali Brahmins. She is, in her divine identity, an aspect of Parvati, the consort of Shiva. The Gadhwali people, in their hill villages, raised her as their own. They watched her grow. They taught her the songs of the hill streams. They taught her the names of the wild flowers. They watched her, when she came of age, marry the great Shiva himself, who lived, by tradition, on Mount Kailash, far away, beyond the high passes. When Nanda married Shiva, she did what every Gadhwali daughter does. She moved to her husband's house. In her case, her husband's house was not in another village but on top of Mount Kailash itself, beyond the highest peaks of the Gadhwali range. She left her father's house. She walked north. She crossed the high snowfields. She climbed the impossible glaciers. She left her childhood behind. And every Gadhwali parent who watched her go, that day, felt exactly what every Gadhwali parent feels when their daughter is married and leaves their village. The walls of the house get a little quieter. The voice they had known since infancy is in another room they cannot enter. They miss her. But Nanda made her parents a promise. She said, "I will come back. Every 12 years, I will come back home. I will return to my mother's house. I will walk down from Kailash. I will pass through every Gadhwali village. I will see every Gadhwali daughter again. I will eat in their kitchens. I will bless their husbands. I will hold their babies. And then I will go back to my own house. Wait for me." Every 12 years. The Gadhwalis took her at her word. From that day, every 12 years, sometimes more often, sometimes a little less, depending on the omens, the Gadhwali people prepare for her return. The festival they hold for it is called the Nanda Devi Raj Jat, the royal pilgrimage of Nanda Devi. The Raj Jat is one of the longest religious pilgrimages anywhere in India. It begins at the village of Naughty, in the Chamoli district of Gadhwal. From there, the pilgrims walk, in a long, slow, ritual procession that may include up to 10,000 people at its peak, for about 280 kilometers, up into the highest reaches of the Himalayas. They walk for 19 days. They climb from valley to ridge to higher valley. They pass through 27 villages, each of which has its own elaborate role in welcoming the procession. They sleep on temple courtyards. They sleep in cattle sheds. They sleep, sometimes, on the open ground at 12,000 feet. They walk all the way up to the high alpine pasture of Roopkund, at about 16,000 feet, a haunting glacial lake at the foot of Mount Trishul, infamous for the human skeletons that emerge in the lake each summer from a 9th century pilgrimage disaster of long ago. The most extraordinary feature of the pilgrimage is its central figure. The procession is led not by a human priest but by a Ram. A specific Ram. A four-horned Ram, born every 12 years, by some pattern the Gadhwalis themselves cannot fully explain, to a particular shepherd family in a particular village of the Gadhwal hills. The shepherd's family identifies the four-horned Ram. They consecrate it. They make it the lead of the procession. The Ram, decorated with bells and silver ornaments and red threads, walks ahead of every human in the pilgrimage. It is believed, the elders say, that the goddess Nanda is herself within the Ram, leading her own procession home. The Ram knows the way. The Ram has been here before. The shepherds walk behind. The pilgrims walk behind the shepherds. The priests walk behind the pilgrims. 10,000 human beings walk behind a single four-horned Ram for 280 kilometers up to the high glacier because they believe very seriously that the goddess of their childhood is inside the animal. At the end of the 19-day journey, on the very last day, the entire procession is allowed to climb only as far as the high glacial lake of Homkund. At this point, the human pilgrims must stop. They are not allowed to go any further. The terrain is too sacred. They place their offerings on a flat stone above the lake. They light a great fire. They watch the four-horned Ram very carefully. The shepherd takes the Ram by its tether. They walk together up past the lake, up onto the bare ice and rock above. The pilgrims, below, weep. The Ram climbs higher and higher up the slope. At a certain point, by tradition, the shepherd lets go of the tether. The Ram, freed of its tether, walks on alone. It climbs higher. The pilgrims watch until the Ram is a small white dot on the white snow. Then they watch until the small white dot disappears entirely. The Ram has gone home. The goddess has gone home. The next 12 years begin. The Raj Jat has been held, in some form or another, for centuries. It was held in 2014. The next is scheduled, by the Omens, for 2026, though the dates are determined by traditional astrological calculations that often vary by a year. The pilgrimage is now also a major event for the modern Indian state. The Uttarakhand government registers tens of thousands of pilgrims, provides medical aid, organizes mountain rescue teams, arranges checkpoints. But underneath all the modern administration, the heart of the festival is older than any state. It is the heart of the Gadwali people watching their daughter come home. They sing for her. The Gadwali folk songs about Nanda's return, sung in the high quavering voice of old hill women, accompanied by the small hand drum called the damo and the long brass curved trumpet called the Ransingha, have been making people cry on the mountain trails for centuries. The songs are about the same thing every Indian wedding song has been about. They are about the daughter who left home and who is coming back only for a visit and who must, again, go away. Tomorrow's story comes from another corner of India. Subscribe to walk with us through the folklore of every region in your language.